Weakness is not a mistake. It is a choice you make every time you open your mouth to explain yourself. The world does not care about your intentions, your potential, or the good person you believe yourself to be. It cares about what it can extract from you and how easily you can be broken. Most of you are broken before you even leave your bed. You wake up reactive, slave to a glowing screen, slave to the opinions of people who do not even know their own names, slave to a biological hardware that was designed for survival, not for dominance. You feel it, that low-frequency hum of inadequacy, the way your throat tightens when you need to speak your truth, the way you look away first when eye contact becomes heavy. You tell yourself you are being polite. You tell yourself you are being the bigger person. Here is the brutal truth. You are lying to yourself to avoid the pain of realizing you are a pawn. Society has groomed you to believe that empathy is strength and that vulnerability is a virtue. They have sold you a map that leads directly into a cage. They want you soft, they want you predictable, they want you emotional. An emotional man is a controllable man. A man who seeks validation is a man who can be owned. This is not a guide to feeling better. This is not a self-help session designed to make you comfortable with your mediocrity. This is an autopsy of your current identity. I am going to show you the 7 levels of mental sovereignty. Most of you will discover you are stuck at level 1 or worse, level 0. If you choose to continue, understand that this knowledge has a cost. You cannot unsee the mechanisms of power once they are revealed. You will lose the comfort of your excuses. You will lose the warmth of the herd. If you are looking for inspiration, leave now. If you are looking for a weapon, stay. Nop. Level 1, the reactive pawn. The moment you react to a provocation, you have handed over your keys. Most people live their entire lives in a state of perpetual reaction. They are like dry leaves in a storm, blown by every headline, every insult, and every minor inconvenience. This is the lowest level of mental existence, the reactive pawn. At this level, your internal state is a direct reflection of your external environment. If someone cuts you off in traffic, your day is ruined. If a coworker makes a passive-aggressive comment, you spend 3 hours rehearsing a comeback in your head. You are transparent. Anyone with a basic understanding of human psychology can pull your strings and watch you dance. Numbered. The explainer's trap. The hallmark of the pawn is the need to explain. When you are misunderstood, you feel an agonizing itch to set the record straight. You write long paragraphs, you raise your voice, you try to convince the other person that you are right. Asterisk, this is not communication. This is submission. Asterisk, the moment you try to justify your actions to someone who has no authority over you, you have granted them authority. You are subconsciously begging for their permission to exist as you are. The sovereign does not explain. The sovereign acts and the world adjusts. Nop. The diagnosis: you are here because you are afraid of being disliked. You have been conditioned to believe that social harmony is more important than personal respect. You mistake niceness for goodness. In reality, your niceness is a shield for your cowardice. You are nice because you lack the strength to be formidable. A shift to move past this level, you must embrace the asterisk vow of silence. Asked, not the silence of the shy, but the silence of the predator. You must learn to let an insult hang in the air without catching it. You must learn the power of the dead eye looking at someone who is trying to provoke you as if they are a minor glitch in a machine. Power is not about winning the argument. Power is about being the only one in the room who doesn't feel the need to have one. Level 2, the Stoic wall. Here is where most people stop, thinking they have reached the peak. The Stoic wall is characterized by endurance. You have learned to suppress your reactions. You have read the books. You know that the obstacle is the way. You have built a shell. When the world strikes you, you no longer cry out. You take the hits. You work the long hours. You endure the toxic relationships. You pride yourself on how much pain you can swallow. Ask. But here's the paradox. Endurance is not the same as power. Ask. Being a punching bag that doesn't break still makes you a punching bag. Level 2 is the level of the high-functioning martyr. You are disciplined, yes. You are reliable, yes. But you are still playing by everyone else's rules. You have mastered the art of being a tool, but you have not yet learned how to be the hand that wields it. Number. The illusion of strength at level 2, you are still bound by shoulds. I should work this hard. I should stay loyal to this person. I desative, devoured it for what essence's bromide of theist. The porn inside you will resurface by the chaired. You're terrified that if you let your guard down for 1 second, the porn inside you will resurface meta. Dora for it of the void, Machiavelli understood that it is better to be feared than the right to be feared than loved. But most pieces, but paired, but composed lied, causes of a gabarage at coming in a bake. Asterisk, the pawn, level 1. Asterisk complains to colleagues, sends an emotional email, or gets visibly angry. Asterisk the wall, level 2, says nothing, works harder, and tells himself that virtue is its own reward. He absorbs the injustice and lets it rot his insides while maintaining a calm face. Neither of these is the path of power. The wall is simply a more durable version of the victim. Not level 3. The ghost, mastery of absence. Power is not a presence. It is an absence. Level 3 is where the shift from defensive to offensive begins. This is the level of the ghost. At this stage, you understand the most potent weapon in the human arsenal. Asterisk, the withdrawal of attention. Asterisk, most people are addicted to being seen. They post their wins, they broadcast their struggles, and they fill every silence with the sound of their own insecurity. The ghost understands that the more you are seen, the more you are predictable. The more you are predictable, the more you are easily discarded. Tombat. The strategy of disappearance. The ghost knows that familiarity breeds contempt. When you are always available, your value plummets. When you are always there to answer the phone, to give advice, to solve problems, you are no longer a person. You are a utility. Asterisk, this is the trap. Asterisk, you think being useful makes you indispensable. It doesn't. It makes you a commodity. Commodities are replaced the moment a cheaper or more convenient version appears. The ghost masters the law of scarcity. They know exactly when to vanish. They leave the party while it's still good. They stop replying to texts when the conversation becomes mundane. They create a vacuum that others are forced to fill with their own imagination. The psychological diagnosis. People are not attracted to what you give them. They are attracted to what they cannot quite grasp. By becoming a ghost, you trigger the Zeigarnik effect in others, the psychological urge to finish an incomplete task. Because they cannot fully categorize you or own your time, their minds become obsessed with you. Number. Weaponized detachment. This is not ghosting in the modern immature sense. This is the calculated removal of your energy from anything that does not serve your sovereignty. If a social circle is stagnant, you don't announce your departure. You simply cease to exist within it. If at the karch, tink watchins my bumfi sendata cetus the surf the serp thor, the spart, b starge, gurchikarch. At level 4, you stop the kaidage, drew kenchlet, left lemons, endoran, family. You begin to see them as vectors. The strategic architect has transcended emotion. This does not mean they demur the style of transcendent social hierarchies, financial incentives, genetic imperatives. While the pawn is worried about being liked and the wall is worried about staying strong, the architect is calculating the ROI, return on investment, of every interaction. They do not do favors, they make investments. They do not have enemies, they have obstacles or competitors who provide valuable market feedback. Number. The identity shift. At this level, you have killed the self that cares about fairness. Fairness is a fairy tale told to children to keep them from fighting back. The architect knows the only fair outcome is the one they have the leverage to enforce. This is the level of Robert Greene's 48 laws. You are no longer reading the laws, you are breathing them. You understand that court attention at all costs is not about vanity, it's about controlling the narrative. You understand that get others to do the work for you, but always take the credit, is not about laziness, it's about the efficient allocation of resources. Number, the concrete scenario, the negotiation. Imagine you are negotiating a contract or a salary. Asterisk the pawn, asterisks on what they need or deserve. They are emotional and desperate. Asterisk the wall howls their ground and refuses to budge, perhaps missing a deal because they are too rigid. Asterisk the architect has already researched the other person's hidden pressures. They know the company's quarterly targets. They know the negotiator is looking for a promotion. The architect doesn't ask for more money. They frame the higher salary as the only way for the negotiator to achieve their goals. They build a reality where the other person's win is dependent on their own dominance. Not please, the Alcium is dependent on their own dominance. Mastery of perception, the architect designs the game, but the alchemist decides what the game is called. At level 5, you realize that truth is a secondary concern. In the theater of power, perception is the only reality that matters. The alchemist does not fight against the narratives of others. They hijack them. They understand that most people are walking through life in a suggestible, hypnotic state. They are waiting for someone to tell them what to think, how to feel, and who to fear. The alchemist is that someone. Tumpern. The reality definition. Most people believe that if they work hard and tell the truth, they will be rewarded. This is the just world fallacy, and it is the poison that keeps you at level 1. The world is not just, it is a hall of mirrors. If you can control the lighting and the angles, you can make a mountain look like a molehill or a servant look like a king. The alchemist practices frame control. In every interaction, there is a dominant frame and a submissive frame. The person who is explaining, justifying, or seeking approval is in the submissive frame. The person who is defining the terms, setting the pace, and ignoring the rules of the interaction is in the dominant frame. Number. The diagnosis: you fail because you respect the rules of social engagement. You answer questions because they were asked. You feel guilty for things you didn't do because someone pointed a finger. You are an amateur actor trying to follow a script you didn't write. The alchemist knows there is no script. Or rather, the script is whatever they can get the other person to believe. Authority injection. The art of the Li Sun Tzu wrote that all warfare is based on deception. This applies to the office, the bedroom, and the boardroom. If you are perceived as a threat, you will be attacked. If you are perceived as a savior, you will be followed. The alchemist learns to wear whatever mask the situation requires, not out of a desire to fit in, but out of a desire to dominate the outcome. Weaponized insight, the mirror. When someone attacks the alchemist does not defend. They mirror. They turn the attack back on the attacker by making their behavior the subject of the conversation. Why do you feel the need to raise your voice right now? It's interesting how obsessed you are with this minor detail. By doing this, you instantly seize the high ground. You are no longer the accused. You are the psychologist, and your opponent is the patient. Number. The concrete scenario. The social blunder. Imagine you make a mistake in a public setting. Asterisk the pawn. Ostracizes profusely, blushes and tries to fix it immediately, drawing more attention to the failure. Asterisk the architect. Asterisk quickly calculates the cost and tries to minimize it. Asterisk the alchemist acts as if the mistake was a deliberate choice. They remain perfectly calm. If someone points it out, they look at them with a hint of pity and say, "I'm surprised you haven't realized why that was necessary yet." Suddenly, the room is unsure. They begin to question their own judgment rather than yours. You have turned lead into gold. Hack. Level 6. The Sovereign IGN. Total autonomy. Here is where the air gets thin. The sovereign is a person who has achieved the rarest form of power. Asterisk. Freedom from the need for anything. Asterisk. Most of you are chained to your desires. You need money. You need sex. You need respect. You need your parents to be proud of you. Every need is a hook that the world can use to pull you. The sovereign has spent years systematically unhooking themselves. They have looked into the abyss of their own insignificance and didn't blink. The definition power is not about how many people you control. It is about how many people cannot control you. The sovereign operates on a different timeline. While the masses are chasing the next hit of dopamine, the sovereign is focused on their own internal constitution. They have their own laws, their own rewards, and their own punishments. They are an island. Diagnosis: you are weak because you are a social animal. You have a deep-seated biological fear of being exiled from the tribe. This fear makes you a coward. It makes you say things you don't mean and tolerate people you despise. The sovereign has embraced the social death. They have realized that being alone is not a tragedy, it is a superpower. When you truly do not care if you are cast out, you are finally, for the first time in your life, dangerous. Authority injection. The Übermensch Nietzsche spoke of the man who creates his own values, the man who does not look to the heavens or the government or the common good for his moral compass. The sovereign is the judge of their own actions. They do not seek justice from the world, they execute their own will. Number. Weaponized insight. The power of no for the sovereign. No is not a negotiation, it is a boundary. They do not give reasons. Reasons are for level 1 pawns. The sovereign says, "That doesn't work for me," and leaves the silence to do the heavy lifting. They are willing to walk away from any deal, any relationship, and any opportunity that requires them to compromise their internal hierarchy. Identity shift. At level 6, you are no longer a member of society. You are a guest who can leave at any time. This detachment gives you a terrifying advantage. Because you are willing to lose everything, you are the only one at the table who can truly win. Not none. Level 7. The apex Theo-ide, the unknowable. This is the final level. It is not a state of doing, it is the state of being. The apex void is the person who has become so mentally fortified that they have become invisible again, but not like the ghost. The ghost hides to avoid. The apex void is hidden in plain sight because they have no ego left for others to latch onto. Auth, the reality definition. At this level, you understand that the self is a hallucination. Most people spend their lives defending a reputation or an identity that doesn't actually exist. They are slaves to their own names. The apex void has no name. They have no brand. They have no story. They are a force of nature. They act without friction because there is no ego to get caught on the thorns of the world. The paradox of the apex. The apex void is the most dangerous person in any room because they are completely unpredictable. They have no type. They have no pattern. They can be the kindest person you've ever met one moment and the most ruthless the next, and in both cases it is a calculated choice made with zero emotional residue. Number. The weaponized insight, non-attachment. They are the predator of the mind. They see through the games of the architects, the alchemists, and the sovereigns. They see the strings that move everyone. Because they want nothing, they see everything. While others are playing chess, the apex void is realizing that the board, the pieces, and the opponent are all made of the same smoke. They don't play to win. They play because it is their nature to move. Concrete scenario, the ultimate conflict. When an apex void is threatened with ruin, the loss of their career, their reputation, or their freedom, asterisk, the pawn, asterisk crumbles and begs, asterisk, the wall, asterisk, endures and suffers, asterisk, the architect, tries to bargain and maneuver, asterisk, the sovereign, asterisk, accepts it with a cold smile, knowing their worth is internal.